Hey guys, welcome to the Manchester United News channel. Subscribe to the channel to not miss any news, leave your like, and share, you are very important for the growth of the channel. Let's go to the video.
Well, it wasn't straightforward, was it? But Manchester United have started their season with victory at home against Wolves by a 0-0 tonight. And here is Erik Ten Hag's reaction with Johnny Phillips.
Erik, how do you assess the performance and the win?
Really pleased with the win, of course, and it was a fight, and so welcome back in the season. We know we have to fight for our points, and on the ball it wasn't a great game our side, but so we had to fight, and we have to find a way to win, and that's what we did.
Did Wolves surprise you with the way they came at you?
No, you see, when you see the performance in the spring, when you see the performance during the preseason, when you follow that, it's a good team, and we know we have to give everything in to get the points, and luckily we succeed, and we're happy with that.
What would you have liked to have been better about the performance?
Especially on the ball, we can be much better and much more calm. We gave too much easy giveaways, especially our front players. That was not good. But you have to get into the season, we will improve on that fact.
Wolves seem to have some runners through the middle as well that caused a lot of problems. Is that something you look at?
As well. When you easy giveaways, then you give them the opportunity to counter, and then you have to follow. But I think we matched the runs, and we dealt with it. The clean sheet that tells everything, and that we again we have a win here in Old Trafford. We have a clean sheet, so which is good. So we played well organized. Now we have to be better on the ball.
Was the message at half-time that you needed to be patient if you're going to break them down?
The message: be more calm, more composed, get more switches in, get between the lines. We had moments between the lines, and when we got that, we get dangerous situations where we cause them problems. But if we easy giveaways, then it's what you're telling me just, then they break, and then you have to match the runs, and then you lose a little bit control in the game.
Would you have liked to have seen more creativity? It was a nice piece of creativity for the goal, but would you have liked to see more throughout?
Yeah, we didn't come to that factor because we gave too easy the balls away, and then you don't come to creativity.
And there was a huge moment at the end with the VAR decision. What was your view of that?
Yeah, it's difficult. Ball in, I think really brave, come out, and the ball was touched before Andre dived in, so I don't think he had an influence on that touch from the opponent. It was a penalty scene. The VAR judged it, and it was on our sides, so we're happy with the points.
Well, thanks for your time, Erik.
You're welcome.
Well, he referenced a clean sheet, didn't he, a couple of times. 17 last season, the most of any side in the league, and he seems to be clinging to that, particularly tonight. But it didn't look like the kind of performance from a team that had only conceded 10 goals at home throughout all of last season.
No, I mean, it wasn't by design, that clean sheet. I didn't feel there was a structure to the defending, particularly when teams are in attack now, they're very good at sustaining attacks because of the fact that, when you're actually attacking, you make sure your defensive structure is good. You bring a full-back in, you make sure you stop counter-attacks. Manchester United didn't stop the counter-attack at any point in that game. And they were very fortunate. Onana made some really good saves. Wolves below par in the finishing. And I think Manchester United have been very fortunate, and he'll be delighted to walk away with 3 points and move on to the next game and try and correct some of the issues. Last season, when Manchester United got emptied in midfield, they ended up moving Bruno Fernandes up to a high position in one of the front three. They ended up putting Fred or McTominay into midfield alongside Casemiro, and they ended up having to be a little bit more solid. He wants to try and get away from that. That's why he signed Mason Mount. But I think he's going to have to be forced in certain games to make sure that he becomes more solid, and that's why I think he wants to bring that other midfield player in to play alongside Casemiro, who can handle the ball.
Even though it's only been one game, we mentioned that on the analysis. I mean, is that a worry for you, what you saw tonight, or are you just putting that down to opening game, Mason Mount new to the team? I mean,
we actually were talking last week when we came in here, didn't we? And we were doing the Mount, and sort of I'd watched the game in pre-season where Mount and Fernandes were really high in those number 10 positions, and when they gave it away, Casemiro was on his own. That can't be allowed to happen. No team leaves that central midfield player, particularly one that isn't the most mobile in Casemiro, as much as he reads the game well and he's got experience. Old Trafford always feels like a massive pitch, even though it might not be too much bigger than some of the other pitches. And if you end up basically chasing back to your own goal, you undermine the work that you're trying to do in attack. Manchester United gave the ball away 81 times tonight. That's a lot. Erik Ten Hag alluded to that in his post-match interview. So if he basically is in that position where his team are going to give the ball away, even if you give the ball away 20 times and you're going to get counter-attacked on, you're going to have a problem against
Gary,
teams of quality.
That's his first choice midfield.
It's his best team.
No, what
Apart
I'm saying
from
is
Højlund,
that's his first choice midfield.
Look, it's his first choice team.
Yeah, I know. So going forward, do you actually think that midfield is a problem? You're talking about changing it for certain games, but is it a bigger problem in terms of how often can you play that? That's a Wolves team. Who people are tipping to go down.
To be honest with you, tonight I'm hoping they go and buy Caicedo and Lavia.
It's too late for at least one of them.
Just get them off Chelsea, maybe 170 million. Just
interesting point.
Ambush that deal.
We're watching Manchester United live on Saturday night at Spurs, and of course there's a big change happening there under Ange Postecoglou. But a lot of people have tipped Wolves for relegation, haven't they? Will people be rethinking that, do you think, after tonight?
The performance was brilliant, but like we said, it's the clinical edge. They were just sitting there, they had chances. If you don't take those chances, you will be down there. But I enjoyed the performance. I thought Man United, chaotic. I think he's got a lot of work to do, and I think he'll go in and take a deep breath and go, thank God we got a result, because for me that was not good enough, and they will struggle if they don't change it.
I think we did really well, and on the pressing wise was good. On the ball, a little bit rush. Sometimes we could have keep a little bit more the ball. Going ever better timing on the counters, because we are really dangerous on doing that. But as I said, it wasn't a perfect game, but at the end we win. So
yeah, you had to be patient, and it was a moment of quality that got you the goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course. Is what we train, the kind of movement we train. Obviously, we don't train Rafa to be in the box, but he was there. Asa made a great movement. I have to find him in behind the defenders. Asa did a great cross to Rafa, and Rafa was there to put it in, and we are really happy for that.
And was it key to come away with 3 points? Is that the most important thing at the end of this night?
No, of course. It's always important to start with a win. It gives you confidence for the rest and for the upcoming week. And we have to be ready for the next game, because it will be a difficult one, as always in the Premier League. So it's about now get rest and train well and get prepared for that game.
Well done.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Yeah, obviously pleased to get that first victory on the board, even though they clearly weren't at their best tonight, Manchester United, in their first game of the season. But a bit of quality, at least, for the goal, Jamie.
Well, it was from that man, Fernandes. We look at the goal now, and you didn't think the goal was going to come. There wasn't too many sort of efforts or big chances. And what Manchester United have had just before this, they've had a corner, hence why Wolves are so deep. And you see actually Fernandes just picked the ball up here. He's probably the deepest player for Manchester United when he receives the ball there, because the attackers, the defenders are high up. You see Lindelof just coming back. So he's actually dictating the play from deep. He then joins, and it's just that clever little pass. Listen, he's done that for years for Manchester United. Been a great signing for them. And Varane at the back post missed a great chance early on. But what I just want to highlight is, because it's been a corner early on, that's why you have this man, Varane, there. But also, just look at the run of Casemiro. And this is vital, the run that he makes, because they actually outnumber Wolves as it moves on. So as the ball comes inside to Fernandes, he comes inside now. And when I look at it initially, you'd say, well, OK, in the centre, in this area here, you'd say, well, OK, it's 4v3, maybe a 4v4. But because of the ball from Fernandes to Wan-Bissaka, it attracts Kilman here. He has to go out, and then all of a sudden you've got the overload there for Manchester United. But it becomes from Casemiro makes that run and creates the overload. So as the flick comes over, just watch Kilman coming across now. So going from a 4v4, and as that ball comes in, you look at Manchester United, the 4v2 at that back post. So someone was bound to get the head on it. This time it's Varane, he stayed up there, But I think the fact Casemiro made that run in there, along with the clever ball from Fernandes, means it was virtually a certain goal.
It's good from Wan-Bissaka as well, isn't it, Gary? He shapes his run nicely and gets good contact on this ball here.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's no doubt since Erik ten Hag comes in, I mean, we've talked about Wan-Bissaka and his sort of technical deficiencies, but he actually has improved enormously to the point now where he actually, I think, trusts him in defence more than Dalot. But I actually think on the ball, he's not too far away from Dalot as well. So that's why I think he plays. But credit to him, he just puts it into a nice little area. He's doing a lot better at that side of his game.
23 shots on goal from Wolves tonight. Chance after chance after chance, Jamie. See if you can pull these up and we can talk through these, Karen, as well.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. I thought Wolves were just absolutely brilliant on the counter-attack. But in fairness, it was Manchester United that were really, really poor and made it easy. I mean, how can you just wriggle through this? We just play it on.
But the first challenge that you mentioned there, Karen, that comes from Casemiro. We saw that in the first half, and that space was there constantly, wasn't it?
Well, also as well, Jamie, this is a 2v2. If he pulls it in there now, I think if he's driving... Look at this overload on this side. And you're right, where's the midfield? Where's the Manchester United midfield? So many times tonight, Wolves just went straight down the jugular. Casemiro was gone. Man, I actually felt really sorry for him. He's come into this team to be so attacking, and he was completely out of it. I completely felt for him. And Bruno
There's Casemiro there trying to get back. He's just made that challenge,
I think
Karen.
that's Mount there, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they're just trying to get back. And it's just an overload on this side. And I wouldn't be surprised if Wolves watched Manchester United in pre-season and went, midfield, they're all over the shop. We said it before, can you catch them on the counter-attack? Now this has to score. How he doesn't score this, they'll be going in and saying, look, we had the chances tonight.
I mean, the big thing, you know, we've asked... Johnny Phillips asked...
Look at that there.
They're all a replica of each other.
But that space is there again. And listen, we said before the game, and you go back to Manchester United's midfield, in that, even last season, but now, when you've got Mount in there and Fernandes, they're almost number 10s, really, rather than central midfield players. Now, Casemiro is being really exposed tonight. There's been so much space around him. You mentioned that before the game, that Mount's got the ability to go forward and get back. But this was far too easy. And what was telling was, yes, I know Casemiro's been left on his own, but I think we've all been here. Just watch what happens to Casemiro here. Almost like when you're that tired, someone runs into you. Look at the player run into him here. Let me just take it back. If you go to... And as the player bumps him, he hasn't actually got the strength. He's almost that tired on the play, and he can't actually then get back and try and make a challenge. Look, it's so easy to come through there. And I mean, that would be a big worry for me going forward against Manchester United, because you've spent big on Mason Mount. Fernandes is your captain. Casemiro, you've spent big. He's going to play there. He was outstanding at times, or for most of the time last season. But this was a major problem. And listen, it's a one-off game. It's early in the season. But I don't think it's a case where you're going to have to completely change your midfield, because, you know, as I said, you've brought Mason Mount in. You've got Fernandes there. But what it reminded me of a little bit, we did a lot of analysis last season on Liverpool's midfield. And Fabinho in that role got exposed so often. And teams are just going right through the centre. As I said, it's one game. But I've always had the feeling with Casemiro, I know he come in last season, he did really well. He was a leader, and listen, he had some great performances. But I always did feel, paying that money for someone at that age, on that length of contract, at some stage you'd say, the Premier League, big pitch, Real Madrid don't sell players for nothing. He's been a quality player and still is. But I do have a feeling at some stage he's going to get really exposed. And he got exposed tonight, but he didn't have a lot of help, I must say that.
Gary, you mentioned about the inverted fullbacks for Manchester United in possession. Do you not think they actually needed it out of possession, where actually one of them was coming in next to Casemiro to stop counter-attacks?
I mean, but the Wolves wide players were pinning them back. Sometimes as a fullback, you don't have chance to get in and out from that position. I mean, they were trying to sign Amrabat, we believe, to try and go in there alongside Casemiro. One thing that Erik...
Who would miss out? So you bought Mason Mount, you got Fernandes is going to play.
I don't know, but they want to buy Amrabat for a reason. One thing that Erik ten Hag is not going to do is go back to the likes of Fred and McTominay, who he believes are technically not good enough on the ball. He wants everybody in the team to be able to accept the football and receive it. The thing I would say is Amrabat coming in, who's a passer of a ball, can sit in there alongside Casemiro. So if they are obviously getting exposed, I mean, Casemiro got absolutely torn to shreds tonight. Manchester United's midfield were non-existent. They were absolutely ripped apart by Wolves.
Well, Wolves played their big part in this, didn't they, tonight? They had 23 shots at Old Trafford, the most by any visiting side since 2005. And yet Gary O'Neill, who joins us live now, has nothing to show for it. You must be scratching your head after that, Gary.
Yeah, disappointed, of course. Well, disappointed that we have to drive home with nothing. When I look at what the lads gave and how hard they worked and how much they tried to commit to the game plan that we set, I thought they were incredible. Everybody, people that came on from the bench, lads that started, I thought it was a real good performance. But obviously we wanted some points and we don't leave with any.
You created so many problems for Manchester United going forward. Can you let us into some of the detail of what that game plan was all about for you tonight?
We tried to overload the middle if we could. Tried to create a little box with trying to create 4 versus the 3. But yeah, lots of detail that I could bore you with, but I won't.
No, please do. We're interested to hear it.
Just a game plan that. Similar to what I've always done, obviously tweak it slightly for the group of players, and it's not me that created that performance. That's a group of players that fully committed to what was asked of them, showed some real individual quality, and unfortunately we found a way not to put the ball in the net off of 23 shots and some real good chances, and then my booking at the end. For claiming for a penalty, so we deserve to leave with something, yeah.
Well, what was your explanation that you heard as to why that wasn't a penalty? You clearly thought that it was. We've got it on the screen there to the left of you as well, Gary.
Yeah, so I thought live that it was a penalty. I thought it looked like the goalkeeper almost took our centre forward's head off, was what it looked like live. And when I watch it back, it looks the same. So really surprised. I think it's a foul. I think if you go for the ball and you clatter into an attacking player that hard, I think it has to be a foul. But I'm not overly surprised, to be honest, that we didn't get it. As he jogged over towards us, I thought he might be going to the screen, and it turns out he booked me and not the Onana for smashing into us.
We've seen a few cards coming out in these early stages of the season, Gary. What we've been told is that the VAR want to leave as many of the decisions as possible to the on-field referee, and they didn't feel that was a clear and obvious error.
I understand it. I don't accept it fully. I've spoken to them about it already. Spoke to them about it last season. I think the on-field referee, it's a real difficult decision for them. So we can't just leave it because they've said no. Like if we all think it's a penalty, and I'm not sure what you guys think in the studio, but a lot of messages, a lot of people coming through already that have said it's a stonewall penalty. So disappointed, but we shouldn't be talking too much about that. To come to Old Trafford, have 23 shots, the most I think since 2005. After 4 days of working with a group that have been through a little bit of a tough spell, some negativity around outside. So the group deserve huge credit, but we don't want to take too much credit too often without taking points with us.
Gary, obviously before you arrived, scoring goals was an issue for Wolves, and tonight you couldn't have played any better. Like you say, 23 shots on goal, you've had so many chances. How do you actually change that without changing personnel if you've got players who aren't naturally, if you like, instinctive goal scorers?
Yeah, so my first thought, Gary, if I'm honest, was to improve the processes and how many times we arrive and how many numbers we arrive with. That was my initial thought. So that was what we tried this evening. Keep arriving in good areas, keep arriving with good numbers, and I'm still convinced that's the answer. I think if that group of players plays that game enough times, they score some goals. So I think hopefully today is not a reoccurrence of the pattern that they had last year. Hopefully today's a one-off where we missed a few chances, we hit the post, keeper made some good saves, a couple of things didn't go our way. We move on to Brighton next week.
Gary, you talk about the work you can do in terms of improving, the team's goal chances, getting players into certain positions. But a player who's been out for, a long time, really, he's just coming back, is Neto. Watching him over the last 2 or 3 seasons, real quality. Is he the one player in your team who you look at and just produce that piece of magic now and again to maybe get you a goal or create a big chance?
Yeah, I thought he gave us a lot. I thought he gave us an awful lot going forward with his pace on the counter-attack, created some real nice situations. We're obviously going to work hard with him to improve that sort of, a little bit of confidence. Obviously, like you say, he's had a tough couple of years of injury. I remember seeing him before that spell, and you thought it was only a matter of time before a top club come and took him. He's quick, has real good ability. So, keep persevering, keep working with him, keep trying to improve his sort of end product. So, when he gets that chance that falls on his left foot, he doesn't find Onana, he finds the bottom corner. So, yeah, plenty to work on. But yeah, tonight's a real good starting point for us.
Listen, Wolves fans, Gary, are hanging on your every word here. I just wonder, did you seek any assurances and were you given any when you took the job that there might be money available for you before the end of the window if you wanted to do anything?
I think a lot's been made of the situation, statements from the club before I arrived, and I think everyone's really clear on the situation at the moment. Things can change quickly, as we know, in transfer windows. There may be some opportunities if some things move around. But yeah, I just saw a group out there that are going to be fully committed, that can come to Old Trafford and have control with the ball, attack quick. So yeah, my focus, David, boring answer for you, but my focus is on the group that I've got and trying to make them as good as we can. And yeah, a special mention for the crowd as well, to lose 1-0 and to have them singing and shouting and cheering the boys on at the end there and showing their appreciation for the efforts that the boys put in was incredible. So they played their part as well.
Well done, Gary. The result, of course, didn't go your way, but it was a terrific performance, and we really appreciate you coming out to talk to us afterwards as well. Thanks so much, Gary.
No worries. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Well, he asked what we thought about the penalty. Karen, do you want to go first?
I think it was a penalty. I think he's spot on. I think he's right to feel aggrieved by this. Again, it's too easy for the cross at the first point, but Onana comes out committed. I think he takes his eye off it as well last minute. Look, at the end of the day, he takes out a player. So for me, that's a penalty there. Look, he just clatters him. That's a penalty, no?
Gary?
Yeah, the reason I thought it was a penalty was because I don't think Onana was anywhere near the ball. I think that he was always under it, he was never getting there, so I think he could have made a decision before he jumped. I think he knew he was jumping in to try and make... Look, I always used to say if my keeper was coming out, take everything with you and clatter the lot, and he's done that. So in some ways... No, that's what I would want my keeper to do if he was coming out, take the lot with you. He's done that, but the problem is he's nowhere near the ball. So in some ways I think he's in a calculated fashion decided that he's just going to try and disturb as much as he can the attacking player and put him off. So I do think it was a penalty because he wasn't near enough to the ball. If they'd arrived at the same time and it'd been one of those where he's just missed the ball, it's like just over his finger, and that's a different story. I think he knew what he was doing.
Do we have a full house?
I wasn't sure. I think when I initially saw it and when it hadn't been given as a penalty, I didn't think there was any way in the world it was going to be overturned. I don't think it was that big of a mistake. You're talking about the high bar, you're talking about wanting to keep the referee's decision on the pitch. I think once the referee hadn't given, I didn't think it was, as I said, that big of a mistake for them to overturn. So I didn't expect the referee to go and look at the screen, no.
Thank you all for watching. Subscribe to the channel to not miss anything. Leave your like and your comment, that is very important for the channel growth. Until the next video.
Forever is the strangest thing. It's shorter than you think.